What is up guys, my name is Chase, and these are the Kydlan Switch controllers. So these might look a little bit familiar. The company Hori has very similar looking Joy-Con replacements called the Split Pad Pro. These are larger split controllers that are more of a resemblance of traditional controllers rather than these tiny things. And these Kydlan controllers are actually pretty similar to the Hori ones at a fraction of the price. Honestly, I wasn't expecting much from these controllers. When you look at this product page, it kinda screams budget third-party controller. But actually using them, they're not bad. In the box, we get the left and right controllers, as well as a USB cable for updating the controllers. I always find it funny to look at the instructions that come with these budget Amazon products. For example, this one says, if the Joy-Con is in a normal working condition, kindly please don't try to upgrade it. It's like they're saying, if your Joy-Con's working, don't freaking touch it. Anyway, let's talk about some plastic. So one of the main draws for these controllers is that they are much chunkier than the Nintendo Joy-Con. And once you use it for a while and then switch, pun intended, back to the original Joy-Con, you really do see just how much more chunky these controllers are and how small the regular Joy-Con are. Now with that being said, I do feel like the ergonomics of the controllers feel a bit off. I can't really put my finger on it, but something about the way your hands grip the controllers feel a bit different than you're used to. Don't get me wrong, it's without a doubt more comfortable than the Joy-Con, but I think the way your hands grip them could be a bit more natural. This controller also has some improved buttons. So let's take a look around at each part of the controller, starting off with the sticks. I have to say, these are some really nice sticks. They pretty much feel exactly like the sticks on the Xbox controller. They're concave so your thumbs can sink nicely inside, and they have these little grips around the tips for even more comfort on your thumbs. Sure, this might be a personal preference thing, but I much more prefer the concave sticks on these controllers compared to the Joy-Con. As far as drift goes, we'll unfortunately just have to wait and see how these sticks hold up. But just based on the construction and build quality, I do think these sticks will last as long as you don't wear them out too much. Another big draw to this controller over the normal Joy-Con is that it actually has a full D-pad. And once again, this is probably gonna be a personal preference thing, but I'm not too keen on how this D-pad feels. Don't get me wrong, it's not an Xbox 360 D-pad. Once again, it kinda reminds me of the Xbox One controller D-pad because it's very clicky with not too much travel. I guess maybe they were trying to keep the D-pad low profile. I'm honestly much more a fan of larger and more squishy D-pads like on the SNES controller or the Wii U controllers. But hey, this D-pad gets the job done. Now for the face buttons. Similar to the D-pad, I'm guessing they were trying to keep the buttons low profile, but these buttons aren't my favorite thing ever. They're about the same size as the Joy-Con buttons, however they're just a bit more squishy, but in my opinion, not squishy enough. Maybe I'm just so used to the big chunky face buttons on the Pro controller. I love how the buttons on the Pro controller feel, so if I could just have a Joy-Con with these face buttons, I would be set for life. Now let's move on to the back, the shoulder buttons. For whatever reason, Nintendo avoids analog triggers the same way that I avoid my inner thoughts. Especially on the Joy-Con, the triggers feel extra clicky, so these triggers do feel pretty good using on the Switch. They've also thrown in some extra buttons as well. You have some turbo buttons like it's 1998, and you also have these buttons on the back that can be remapped to your liking. I haven't honestly used any of these features though because do I look like someone who does that? I'm a basic gamer. Just give me the games and I'll do it. But I mean, I can see how mapping these buttons to, let's say, jumping in Fortnite can be really beneficial. Something quite surprising that is also included in this controller is motion control. I'm not a big fan of using motion control in handheld mode since it means that you're moving the screen as you're trying to look at it, but it's actually very cool that it is included anyway. Now that we talked about some of the benefits you get from these controllers, how about let's talk about some of the things you lose out on with these controllers. One feature you do lose is amiibo support. Not really the biggest deal in my opinion since Nintendo seems to be backing down from amiibo a little bit, but I could see some people upset about the lack of amiibo support if you really have that urge to pay to win. But one big thing you lose with these controllers is HD rumble, or just rumble in general. I went to public school, so I don't know exactly why these third-party companies can't pack in even just basic rumble into their controllers. But unfortunately, many of these third-party Switch controllers don't have any kind of rumble whatsoever. This can be kind of a bummer when you're playing games that rely on the HD rumble, such as Super Mario Odyssey, or just games that have some added immersion from the rumble. And the other major thing you lose with these controllers is wireless play. Obviously, the way the buttons are laid out wouldn't allow for people to use them on their side like the original Joy-Con, but you can even put these in a Joy-Con grip and use them that way. I believe it's because the controllers can only be powered by directly connecting to the Switch, plus they don't have any kind of Bluetooth built in, but it would have been really nice to be able to even just have these in a grip and use them like traditional controllers. Overall, I think the Kydlan Switch controllers are a decent replacement for the Joy-Con, especially for handheld mode. It's good for people who primarily play in handheld mode since it doesn't have any wireless functions. While you do lose out on a couple key features, I think the pros outweigh the cons in the end. The ergonomics are better than the regular Joy-Con. Not perfect, but better. It actually has a physical D-pad, and some of the buttons do feel generally better than the actual Joy-Con. I'll leave a link to where you can buy these on Amazon in the description. If you want to see some of my video game reviews, make sure you check out some of the videos below. If you like this video, feel free to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and ring that notification bell. For now, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.